One punch. That's all it took. Saitama's fist connected with Thanos, and the Mad Titan didn't just die, he evaporated. Half his army vanished in the shockwave. The Avengers should have cheered. They didn't, because the Infinity Stones started screaming. Tony watched his readings spike beyond anything measurable. Doctor Strange reached for the timeline and found nothing. No futures, no branches, just static where Saitama stood. What is he? Natasha whispered. The sky cracked. Reality flickered like a broken screen. The stones weren't celebrating victory, they were afraid. Captain America gripped his shield tighter. Thor's lightning dimmed on its own. Saitama scratched his bald head, looking bored. Did I break something? Yes, he did. He broke the universe's rules, and now reality itself was trying to figure out how to survive a hero it was never designed to contain. The portal opened without warning. In the chaos of Avengers Endgame's final battle, where armies clashed across scorched earth and alien warships darkened the sky, nobody noticed the small tear in reality. Not at first. They were too busy fighting for existence itself. Thanos stood at the center of the battlefield, Infinity Gauntlet raised, fingers poised to snap again. Around him, Earth's defenders fell one by one. Thor lay bleeding in the rubble. Captain America's shield was cracked. Iron Man's suit sparked with critical failures. Victory was slipping away. Then, the tear widened. A bald man in a yellow suit stepped through, red gloves gleaming, white cape settling behind him. He looked around with mild confusion, scratching his head. This isn't the grocery store. Thanos turned slowly, eyes narrowing at the newcomer. Another insect. The Mad Titan moved with terrible speed, blade swinging toward the stranger's neck. Saitama raised his fist casually. He punched. The sound that followed wasn't thunder. It wasn't an explosion. It was reality itself screaming. Thanos didn't fly backward. He didn't block. He didn't have time to register surprise. He simply ceased. The shockwave expanded outward in a perfect sphere, vaporizing half of Thanos' army instantly. Chitauri warships crumpled like paper. The clouds above split into a perfect circle, revealing blue sky beyond the smoke. Where the Mad Titan had stood, a crater stretched 300 meters wide. Silence fell across the battlefield. Every warrior, human, Asgardian, Wakandan, stood frozen. Weapons lowered, mouths hung open. Saitama looked at his fist, then at the crater. Was that the final boss? Nobody answered. Iron Man's helmet retracted slowly, revealing Tony Stark's pale face. His HUD had recorded everything, but the readings made no sense. Power output, error. Impact force, undefined. Energy signature, incalculable. Tony's voice cracked. That's not possible. Thor pushed himself upright, Stormbreaker crackling weakly in his grip. He had faced Thanos twice. He had buried his axe in the Titan's chest. But this stranger had done in 1 second what all of Asgard's might couldn't accomplish. Who are you? Thor demanded. Saitama turned toward him, expression blank. Saitama, hero for fun. Captain America limped forward, Mjolnir still humming in his hand. Where did you come from? I was walking home, saw a weird light, thought it might be a sail. Saitama shrugged. Guess not. Dr. Strange descended nearby, cloak rippling with agitation. He had watched 14 million futures. In none of them, not one, had this man appeared. Strange's hands trembled as he reached toward the timeline and found nothing. Every probability that touched Saitama dissolved into static. The future became a blank wall wherever he stood. I can't see past him, Strange whispered. The timeline, it's not branching, it's avoiding. Before anyone could respond, the Infinity Stones began to scream. The 6 stones, scattered across the battlefield after Thanos' destruction, lifted from the ground simultaneously. They had never done this before. Through all of history, the Infinity Stones required a wielder. a consciousness to direct their power. But now they moved independently, drawn together by invisible force, orbiting each other in accelerating spirals. Their colors bled into the air. Space warped around the Mind Stone. Time fractured near the Time Stone, replaying debris explosions in stuttering loops. Reality flickered as grass transformed into crystal, then water, then fire. Tony's backup sensors screamed warnings. The stones are outputting energy without a command source. Strange tried to contain them with binding spells. Golden chains wrapped around the rotating gems. The chains dissolved instantly. Not broken, undefined. "My magic won't touch them," Strange said, backing away. "They're not malfunctioning, they're reacting." Thor stepped forward, lightning building around him. "To what?" Everyone looked at Saitama. He was picking his ear, completely unbothered. The space stone pulsed violently. The horizon bent inward, warping toward Saitama like a funhouse mirror. Mountains in the distance stretched and compressed. "That's definitely not normal," Natasha Romanoff said, emerging from behind collapsed rubble. The sky cracked. A jagged tear split open above the battlefield. Not a portal, but a wound in reality itself. Through it, swirling cosmic storms raged in colors that had no names. The stones rose higher, feeding energy into the tear. Strange's eyes widened as understanding struck. "They're calling something." "Calling what?" Steve demanded. The tear widened. From within, light condensed into form. A humanoid shape emerged, massive, towering, composed entirely of shifting stone energy. Its body was purple where the Power Stone's influence dominated, green where time held sway, orange and blue and yellow and red swirling across its frame. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. The entity's eyes opened, 6 pupils, each a different color, each containing infinity. Its gaze locked onto Saitama. "Anomaly detected." The voice didn't come from a throat. It resonated through bone and metal and thought itself. Every person on the battlefield clutched their heads as meaning forced itself into their minds. "Correction required." The entity raised one hand. Space compressed around Saitama. Gravity multiplied 1,000-fold. The ground beneath him collapsed into a sphere of impossible density, pulling everything, air, light, matter, inward. Normal humans would have been crushed into atoms. Saitama looked up. The compression intensified. Mountains groaned as they leaned toward the gravitational well. Soldiers slid across the ground screaming, dragged toward the vortex. Tony's boots fired at maximum thrust, barely holding position. "That thing just created a localized black hole." Strange threw shields around as many people as he could. Thor planted Stormbreaker into the earth, anchoring himself. Steve grabbed Natasha's hand, pulling her behind what remained of a Wakandan transport. The vortex tightened around Saitama. For a moment, his outline flickered, compressed, stretched, distorted. Then he stepped forward. The black hole shattered. Gravitational forces exploded outward, flinging debris across the battlefield. The entity staggered back, its first uncontrolled movement. Saitama rolled his neck. That tickled. The entity's 6-colored eyes flared. "Escalation authorized." It thrust both hands forward. Reality itself attacked. Not energy, not matter. Pure conceptual force. The authority of existence demanding that Saitama cease. The beam struck him directly. From the outside, it looked like the sun had descended. Light consumed everything. Heat melted stone into glass. Sound disappeared entirely. Strange shielded his face, magical barriers barely holding. "Nothing survives that! Nothing!" The beam continued for 3 full seconds. Then it stopped. When the light faded, Saitama stood exactly where he had been. His suit was slightly dusty. He brushed it off. "Okay, my turn." He vanished. The entity had no time to react. One instant, Saitama was on the ground. The next, his fist connected with its chest. The impact created no sound. Instead, it created absence. A sphere of pure nothing expanded from the strike point. Not darkness, not void, but the complete removal of existence. The entity's torso vanished. Its arms fell away. Its head dissolved into cascading sparks of dying color. The Infinity Stones tumbled from the sky, dimming as they hit the ground. The tear above began closing. Tony lowered his arms slowly. He just punched out a cosmic entity. Thor's lightning faded. With one blow! Strange reached for the timeline again. Still nothing. Just static where Saitama stood. But something else caught his attention. A tremor. Not physical, temporal. As if the universe itself had stumbled. "This isn't over," Strange said quietly. For 20 minutes, the battlefield was quiet. Soldiers began treating wounded. Wakandan medics set up triage stations. Tony ran diagnostics on his damaged suit, while Thor helped clear rubble. Saitama sat on a broken Chitauri tank, looking bored. Steve approached him cautiously. "So, you're not from around here?" "Different Earth, I think." Saitama scratched his chin. "Mine has more monsters, less purple guys." "And you just punch things?" "When they attack, yeah." Steve studied him for a long moment. He had met gods. He had fought aliens. He had wielded Mjolnir. But something about this man unsettled him in a way nothing else had. There was no tension in Saitama's body, no readiness. He sat like someone waiting for a bus, not like a warrior who had just killed a cosmic entity. "That thing you destroyed," Steve said. "Strange thinks it was created by the Infinity Stones." "The glowing rocks? They're the fundamental forces of the universe. Power, space, time, reality, mind, soul." Saitama nodded slowly. "Cool. The point is, they responded to you, not Thanos, you. Is that bad?" Before Steve could answer, the sky changed. Not cracked, not tore, changed. The blue faded to black in seconds. Stars appeared, but wrong. Too close, too bright. Constellations humans had never seen blazed overhead. Tony's repaired sensors screamed new alerts. "We've got incoming, multiple signatures, big ones, really big." Strange's hands ignited with golden light as he scanned dimensions. His face went pale. "The universe is sending reinforcements." Above Earth, massive geometric structures materialized, rings within rings, each inscribed with symbols older than language. They orbited the planet slowly, building energy at their cores. Thor rose into the air, lightning exploding around him. "What sorcery is this?" "Not sorcery," Strange said. "Cosmic infrastructure. Fail-safes built into reality since its birth. They activate when fundamental laws are threatened." Tony's voice was tight. "And we're the threat?" Strange pointed at Saitama. "He is." The rings aligned. Energy channeled from distant stars, flowing through the structures into a concentrated point above Earth. Light built until it rivaled the sun. Then, it fired. The beam descended, not toward cities, not toward armies, but toward one bald man sitting on a broken tank. Saitama looked up. "Again?" The beam struck. The explosion flattened everything within a mile radius. Stone vaporized, metal melted, air itself ignited. When the light faded, a crater a kilometer deep scarred the Earth. At its bottom, Saitama stood. His cape was slightly singed. "Okay, that one was almost interesting." He looked up at the geometric ring still orbiting above. "My turn?" He jumped. The shockwave from his departure cracked continents. Tsunamis surged across distant oceans. The battlefield collapsed further into rubble. In orbit, Saitama reached the first ring in under a second. He punched it. The structure shattered into fragments that scattered across the solar system. Shockwaves rippled backward through the cosmic network. The second ring adjusted, firing beams from multiple angles. Saitama weaved between them casually, fist connecting with the structure's core. It exploded. The third ring deployed tendrils of pure law, conceptual chains meant to bind impossibilities. They wrapped around Saitama's arms and legs. He flexed. They snapped. One by one, the cosmic failsafes fell. Saitama moved through them like a child through soap bubbles, each punch releasing cascading destruction. From Earth, the Avengers watched in silence. "He's destroying universal constants," Strange whispered. "Every structure he breaks, reality loses a safety net." Tony's voice was hollow. "Can we stop him?" Nobody answered, because the answer was obvious. Saitama drifted back to Earth, landing gently amid the devastation. Those things were annoying. Strange grabbed his arm, the first person to touch him since his arrival. "You don't understand what you've done." Saitama blinked. "I punched the things attacking me. Those things were stabilizers, anchors that kept reality coherent." Strange's voice cracked. "Without them, the universe can't compensate for your presence." Above, the sky began to fold. Not crack, not tear, fold. Layers of reality peeled back like pages in a book, revealing what lay beneath. Not space, not void, but pure potential. Unformed existence waiting to become something. The Infinity Stones lifted again from where they had fallen. This time, they didn't attack. They merged. Color bled into color. Light consumed light. The 6 fundamental forces combined into a single point of absolute power. A singularity that contained everything and nothing simultaneously. It grew. Slowly at first, then faster. The battlefield began sliding toward it. Debris lifted and vanished. Air rushed inward in screaming winds. Tony's readings finally displayed something coherent. Timeline reset initiated. "It's going to wipe everything!" Tony shouted. "Not just us, every reality connected to this timeline." Thor braced against the pull. "How do we stop it?" Strange fell to his knees, magic failing entirely. "We don't. It's beyond intervention. The universe is choosing erasure over instability." The singularity expanded, swallowing the horizon. Soldiers screamed as they slid toward it. Wakandan ships crashed. Asgardian warriors grabbed each other, trying to anchor against the pull. Natasha looked at Steve, fear naked on her face for the first time. "This is it?" Steve gripped her hand. "Not yet." He turned to Saitama. The bald hero stood motionless, watching the approaching annihilation. "Can you stop that?" Steve asked. Saitama tilted his head. "Maybe." "Maybe?" Never punched a universe before. The Singularity's edge reached the first fleeing soldiers. They didn't die, they simply stopped existing. Erased from every timeline, every memory, every possibility. More people slid toward it. Saitama's expression shifted. For the first time since arriving, something other than boredom crossed his face. "Hey." The word was quiet, but it carried weight. "I came here by accident. Killed your purple guy by accident. Broke your space things by accident." He stepped forward against the gravitational pull, the only being present who could. "But those people dying isn't an accident. That's a choice." He looked up at the Singularity. "And I don't like it." His fist clenched. The air around him compressed violently, bending inward toward his knuckles. The ground beneath him cracked in spreading spiderwebs. Strange's eyes widened. His energy output. "It's climbing. It's still climbing." Tony's backup sensors overloaded and died. Thor's lightning flickered in response to the building pressure. Saitama pulled his arm back slowly. "Serious series." The Singularity seemed to pulse in response, growing faster, pulling harder, as if sensing the incoming threat. "Serious punch!" He threw his fist forward. The impact didn't create sound, it created meaning. Reality itself rang like a struck bell. The shockwave expanded outward at impossible speed, slamming into the Singularity's surface. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the Singularity cracked. Fractures spread across its surface, light bleeding through. The pull faltered. Soldiers stopped sliding. Saitama didn't stop. He leaped into the cracking sphere, fist still extended, driving deeper into the heart of combined cosmic force. Inside the Singularity, time and space held no meaning. Past and future existed simultaneously. Every possibility overlapped. Saitama saw glimpses. Worlds where Thanos won. Worlds where the Avengers never formed. Worlds where humanity never evolved. None of it mattered. He pushed forward. At the Singularity's core, the merged Infinity Stones pulsed with desperate energy. They tried to redefine him, to classify him, to reduce him to something manageable. Every attempt failed. Saitama reached the core. He punched. The Singularity didn't explode, it unraveled. Layers of compressed reality peeled apart and scattered across the cosmos. The Infinity Stones separated, tumbling away in different directions, no longer merged, no longer threatening. The sky snapped back to normal. Blue returned. Clouds reformed. Stars retreated to their proper distances. Gravity stabilized. On the battlefield, soldiers collapsed in relief. Some laughed, some wept, some simply lay still, staring at the restored sky. Saitama drifted down through the atmosphere, cape fluttering behind him. He landed softly among the Avengers. Done. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Then Tony started laughing. It wasn't happy laughter. It was the laughter of a man who had accepted absurdity. He punched out a timeline reset. He actually punched out a timeline reset. Thor lowered Stormbreaker slowly. I have witnessed many things in my centuries of life. I have no words for this. Strange scanned the timeline. For the first time since Saitama's arrival, futures existed. Millions of them, branching normally. It's stable, Strange said quietly. Reality is stable. Steve looked at Saitama. Is it over? Saitama scratched his head. Probably. The sky darkened again. This time there was no warning, no cracks, no tears, no geometric structures, simply presence. Something vast turned its attention toward Earth, not arriving, not descending, just noticing. And that notice alone was enough to dim stars. Strange fell to his knees, hands clutching his head. No! No, no, no! Tony grabbed him. What is it? What's coming? Strange looked up with hollow eyes. The thing that made the stones. Above Earth, space folded open like a blooming flower. What emerged was not a creature, not an entity, not even a god. It was architecture. Vast geometric forms extended across the solar system, structures that made the previous rings look like children's toys. They connected to every planet, every moon, every asteroid. They synchronized with the cosmic web itself. At the center of this incomprehensible machinery, a face formed. Not made of matter, made of authority. Eyes like galaxy clusters focused on Earth. Anomaly confirmed. The voice didn't resonate through bone this time. It resonated through existence. Every atom in every Avenger vibrated with the words. Previous corrections failed. The machinery began rotating. Energy channeled from across the universe, converging toward Earth. Final protocol initiated. Tony's voice shook. What's the final protocol? Strange could barely speak. Unmake. It's going to unmake him, retroactively. Make it so he never existed in any timeline, any reality, any possibility. Saitama looked up at the cosmic machinery filling the sky. Huh, big. The face's eyes narrowed. You do not belong. Saitama shrugged. Heard that before? The machinery fired. Not a beam, not a force, a concept. Non-existence streamed toward Saitama, the pure idea that he had never been, focused into weaponized form. It struck him. His outline flickered. His cape began dissolving. His gloves faded at the edges. He's being erased, Natasha shouted. Thor hurled Stormbreaker with every ounce of divine strength. The axe struck the conceptual stream and passed through harmlessly, clattering to the ground on the other side. Steve threw Mjolnir. Same result. Tony fired every weapon his suit possessed. Nothing interrupted the erasure. Strange tried to stop time around Saitama. Time refused to obey. The dissolution spread. Saitama's feet vanished, then his legs to the knees. For the first time, he looked annoyed. This is really getting old. His remaining hand clenched. The dissolution stopped, not gradually, instantly, as if his willpower alone had rejected the concept of non-existence. The cosmic face's eyes widened. Impossible! Saitama's body reassembled, not regenerating but refusing to have been erased. His cape reformed, his gloves solidified, his boots returned. He stood complete. "You keep calling me anomaly," he said, "trying to delete me, correct me, unmake me." He looked up at the face filling the sky. "Has it occurred to you that maybe you're the one who's wrong?" The machinery trembled. Saitama jumped. This time he didn't aim for structures. He aimed for the face itself. His speed exceeded light. His trajectory bent space. His approach created shockwaves that shattered moons. The cosmic authority responded. Reality itself attacked. Not constructs, not proxies, but the fundamental forces of existence. Gravity became a weapon. Time became a cage. Space became a prison. Saitama pushed through all of it. Gravity collapsed around him. He moved anyway. Time froze. He continued regardless. Space compressed into a point. He expanded it with sheer momentum. The face tried to retreat. Too slow. Saitama's fist connected. The sound that followed wasn't physical. It was the scream of a universe that had never been challenged at this level. The face cracked. The machinery shattered. Geometric structures across the solar system collapsed simultaneously, releasing stored energy in cascading explosions that lit up the cosmic void. The authority didn't die. It couldn't die. It was woven into existence itself. But for the first time since reality began, it retreated. The cosmic presence withdrew, folding back into dimensions beyond perception. Its attention turned away from Earth, not in victory, but in something that might have been confusion or fear. Stars brightened, space normalized. The solar system fell silent. Saitama drifted back toward Earth, passing through the debris of destroyed cosmic machinery. He landed on the battlefield one final time. The Avengers stared at him. Nobody spoke. The sun rose, normal, warm, golden. After everything, Thanos, the stones, the cosmic entities, the universal authority, a simple sunrise felt almost absurd. The battlefield remained devastated. Craters pocked the earth. Alien wreckage smoldered. But the sky was blue, the air was breathable, and people were alive. Tony sat on a broken piece of Chitauri armor, helmet in his hands. He hadn't spoken in an hour. Thor stood apart, staring at the horizon. Stormbreaker hung loose in his grip. For 1,000 years, he had believed himself among the mightiest beings in existence. That belief lay shattered now. Steve helped coordinate recovery efforts, but his movements were mechanical. His mind was elsewhere. Natasha organized medical evacuations, grateful for work that kept her from thinking too hard. Strange sat cross-legged, eyes closed, reaching into the timeline. He had spent an hour confirming what he already knew. Everything was stable. Every branch existed. Every future was possible. But the timeline had changed. Not damaged, evolved. As if reality had accepted something new into its equations, stopped fighting it and started adapting instead. Strange opened his eyes and looked at Saitama. The bald hero sat on a rock, chin in his hand, watching clouds drift across the sky. Strange approached him cautiously. "Can I ask you something?" Saitama glanced over. "Sure." "How?" A simple question, but Strange meant everything. How are you this strong? How do you exceed universal limits? How do you exist at all? Saitama considered the question. "I did a lot of training." Strange waited for more. Nothing came. That's it? Training?" 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 10-kilometer run, every day, for 3 years. Strange stared at him. That's not possible. That routine wouldn't even qualify as advanced fitness training on Earth. It can't explain. He gestured vaguely at everything. This. Saitama shrugged. I know, but it worked.
Strange had no response.
Tony walked over, finally breaking his silence. So what now? You going back to your world? Saitama looked around. Don't know how. That portal just appeared. You could stay, Steve offered, joining them. We could use someone like you. For what? Your big purple guy is dead. The glowing rocks aren't attacking anymore. Seems like you're fine. Thor landed nearby, having heard the conversation. Threats will come again. They always do. Saitama sighed heavily. It was the most emotional response any of them had seen from him. Yeah, that's the problem. Steve frowned. What do you mean? For a moment, Saitama's expression shifted, something beneath the boredom surfacing briefly. Weariness, maybe. Loneliness. I got strong because I wanted to fight, to feel something, to have a challenge. He looked at his fist. But nothing challenges me anymore. Every fight ends the same way. One punch. Done. He let his hand drop. You know what I was doing before that portal grabbed me? Grocery shopping. Looking for sales on cabbage. That's my life now. That's what being the strongest gets you. Nobody spoke. They had all struggled, all suffered, all trained and fought and sacrificed. And they had never considered that absolute power might be its own punishment. Tony sat down beside him. For what it's worth, that was the most impressive thing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. Saitama nodded slightly. Thanks. A portal opened nearby. Not violent, not threatening, simply a doorway. Through it, they could see a different city. Japanese signs, peaceful streets. Saitama stood. Guess that's my ride. Strange examined the portal. It's stable, leads to your world, I think. Saitama walked toward it, then paused. He looked back at the Avengers. Hey! They looked at him. You guys fought pretty hard, even when it was obvious you couldn't win, even when the universe itself was trying to kill you. He gave a small nod. That's not weak, that's just a different kind of strong. Steve smiled slightly. Thanks. Saitama stepped through the portal. It closed behind him. The Avengers stood in silence. Far above, in regions beyond human perception, cosmic forces recalculated quietly. Not to correct, not to contain, to adapt, because existence had learned something new. And somewhere in the infinite dark between realities, ancient beings who had watched the universe since its birth updated their records. A new variable had entered the equation, an anomaly that couldn't be solved, only respected. Back on the battlefield, Tony finally laughed. Real laughter this time. Hero for fun, of course. Thor shook his head slowly. I need a drink. Steve looked at the spot where Saitama had vanished. Thanos had called himself inevitable. But inevitability had just been punched out of the universe. And somewhere in another world, a bald hero was finally buying his cabbage. The end.